Hello, Mariner fans and math fans. I'm Dr. Andy Lovelace. In my next video, I will talk about some of the math of fractions and how it applies to batting averages. But before I do that, I wanted to share some of the data I've been collecting on the Mariners. We're about to have opening day tomorrow. And as I was looking at this, there were just so many interesting questions, historical pieces. I'll try to go quickly here. I know I can tend to go on and on. I'm not going to. So briefly, I'm going to talk about Mariner batting averages, some historical data. That picture you're seeing on the screen, the bar graph, is every batting average that has ever happened for the Seattle Mariners for an entire season, for someone that's had at least 100 at-bats. So this is the collection. You can see there's some things that have never happened. The highest ever is 372. There's some trivia for you. You should know who that is. And then we have some other ones here that are also the same player. Many of them are Ichiro. Some are Edgar. Alex Rodriguez is in there, unfortunately. We loved Alex. We wish if he would have stayed, he would have been beloved. Anyways, the overall of people that have had at least 100 at-bats and played a full season, now that includes some that didn't play very much, the median batting average for our team is 251. The average is similar. The quartiles, which means a quarter of the players, got above 275 and a quarter were below 225. So we're pretty much a 225, 250, 275 team in terms of splits. Half the players bat above 250, half bat below. Okay, that's not what really matters. At least not for this video. So let's forget about the average for a second and talk about particular averages. And then I will finish up with some more interesting things that actually have applicability, but along the way, we're going to see some stats. Okay, so these are the most common averages, these big bumps here. This 275 and 259. I don't know if anyone's ever covered this before, because why would they? So my proposal is that we have a bobblehead day called the 275 Club Day. And we have these players. Now, one of them did bat only 100. A few of them are a small number of at-bats. But this is the 275 Club. All the players that batted 275 and had at least 100 at-bats for a season. I do like, and the 100 at-bats is kind of arbitrary, but I thought it was enough that they played quite a bit. So let's take a look at who's in our 275 club. Well, we have Julio, who was there not too long ago. D. Gordon, Ben Gamble, Ben Broussard, Randy Wynn. I like that Bucky Jacobson's in here. I hope that someone tells him to watch this and somehow this gets mentioned on sports radio. Anyways, way to go, Bucky Jacobson. You are in the 275 club. Please get this bobblehead going. This seems like something the Mariners would do. Throw in some shishka berry. Okay, and then we have this. Even better, the 259 club. And we could have one night that just honors the fact that there are two batting averages that have happened more than any others. Both of them have 14. Now, if you throw in the players that had fewer than 100 at-bats, there are two more in the 259 club. So it's the winner. But anyways, this will be an exciting year. I hope that someone either bats 259 or 275 so that we can have a clear winner here and the most likely batting average. Okay, some of the other notables. And these aren't their actual numbers. This is polling from a website that had them sorted out. So anyways, my brother told me how I could look this stuff up on Baseball Reference, and which I did. And so now I'll just go one further. This is there's one group of players that are in the 247 club. So here's the 247 club. So I also would like that two people to bat 247 this season, because then we could have a three-way tie. That would also be exciting. It's a stat no one will be paying attention to except you and me this year. Okay, on the positive side, so there's several more that can happen. All right, let's get moving. You're talking and laughing too much, you fool. All right, that's what they're saying, I'm sure. Okay, there's the 300 club. Players that batted exactly 300, at the end of the season, exactly 300. Gene Segura was the last one for that to happen. John Olerud, Alex Rodriguez, Joey Cora, nice that he's on that list. Mark Whitten only had 140 at bats. Well, we're counting. I'm the one making the rules here. Ken Griffey, Bruce Bochy. So I did notice that for the 300 club that there's several more if we include under 100 at bats. One of the people that gets added is Harold Reynolds, so I almost want to add him, but he only had a few at bats that season that he batted exactly 300. So there's our 300 club. So that's my proposal, is that we have 300 club, because among these it's the only 300 where we have a lot of people that got it. I think every other 300 is isolated case. Okay. The interesting things related to the math I'm going to do in a future video is which averages occur a lot and which averages don't occur very much. And you can see there's some holes here, like things that just get skipped. Sometimes that might be by randomness, but often it's because of the type of fraction it is. And I'll talk about that. And that's just interesting to know, I guess, if you're searching, that certain fractions don't occur, not because of it being hard to hit that, but because they're fractions that are hard to occur. These particular fractions never occur. Now, a bad part for my analysis is that one of the things that's most interesting about the analysis that I'm going to do is that, I'm going to make this a little bigger, is that I really want to talk about the fact that it's kind of hard to hit 334. It's somewhat hard to hit 332. The problem is for the Mariners, it's also hard to hit 333. We have no examples of any of those. So that's not going to be good data. I'll have to use the data from the entire Major League Baseball to prove that point. But there's other things I can say. We only have one. Another thing to root for this season is for someone to bat 296. It's never happened for the Mariners. It's the only 200 we haven't hit. So a lot of people talking down on the Mariners offense, but look at all the things we have to root for. Okay, last couple things, and then we'll all right, interrupting my video for just a second. There's one interesting thing that I forgot to mention back when we were looking at the 259 club, and that it's this person I didn't really know much about. He batted 259 3 different times over the course of 6 years. I bet that is extremely rare. I forgot to look at that and say something about that before the video. I wonder how often someone has had the same batting average exactly, like multiple years in a row or multiple times in their career. I bet it's extremely low. So this might be a real rare anomaly that I'll maybe come back to. All right, forgot to say that. All right, so now let's look at the overall averages. Here's the best averages ever, a little more positively than some of the other things I've been saying. So Ichiro, Alex, Edgar, Ichiro, Edgar, Brett Boone. So those are our best averages. It looks like we do have a multiple in 327. And there's several more 300s, but I did want to go through the history of the years. The last time we had a 300 was Victor Robles in 2024. He batted 328, but he only had 229 at bats. Before that, it was Gene Segura. We had two people, 304 and 303. Before that, it was Nelson Cruz. We have not had very many people bat 300. Something you'll notice if you're at the games. It would be nice to have someone bat 300. Okay. So last little bit. Let's talk about at-bats because it's important for the analysis I'm going to do. For the Mariners, this is kind of a funny stat, but for people that played a reasonable amount, the typical number of at-bats is around 300 to 400. That's kind of notable. I don't know how that compares to other teams. There's, again, too many questions to ask. But what's notable is, pretty much an everyday player is going to have around 500 at-bats. And so last year we only had two, Julio and Cal. And for Julio, it's kind of a low number because he's injured a little bit. So I thought that was interesting. I was like, well, maybe that tells us something, that we have so few people that bat regularly. I don't know. That's what I thought. But, we do. Baseball is full of more platooning and things of that sort. Maybe there's something to be said there. Good. But then I looked in 2023, and there were quite a few people that had over 500 at-bats. So I thought, well, maybe there's nothing to that. And then I looked at 2022, and there were 4. So it's often variable. Somebody's injured for a couple weeks, maybe that takes him off of the list. So I was like, well, let's compare with the Mariners' heyday. And I pulled this up. In 2001, we had 4 people with over 200 at-bats. Now, Ichiro was always way over 200. Then in 97, we had a lot of people over 200 at-bats. But 95, we only had a couple. So it has more to do with like injuries and when players come back. So maybe there's not much to be had there. But a little bit just about at-bats because I needed that number. So basically what I learned from this is 500 at-bats is... Each team has a few each year, but a lot of people have between 400 and 600 at-bats. Above 600 is pretty rare. So here's some historical data on that. Ichiro, of course, has almost all the top ones. It's very rare for somebody to have more than 650 at-bats. Julio did it once. Teoscar Hernandez had more than 625, but really it's rare to be above 600 at-bats. So that's informative for the analysis I'm going to do. And I thought I would finish this with just historical significance. Ichiro, when he had 704 at-bats, at the time it was the second most ever. It's since been passed by Jimmy Rollins in 2007. But quite a feat. And in that year, he had 262 hits. And he batted .372. I think, Ichiro, you could play for us this year. How about you come on out? All right, thanks for listening. I'll actually do some math in the next